Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the
Hi
Nigerian
guys,
Space.
welcome back to another episode of the Nigerian Space TNS. Yeah, today we're still on this hashtag NSAS. It's definitely more than a hashtag, and right now where we're at, we understand that this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So we really want to know what next. We spoke about our
5 point agenda. G.
Yeah,
This is
internet.
this is this is why we are fighting to end SARS. This is why we're fighting to end SARS.
what's happening.
Yeah, I believe we can jump straight into it. But when it started till now, what are your thoughts? Are you surprised? Are you impressed? And everyone is happy. So I think the question is, how surprised and impressed are you? It's also bust it out. You're breathing in like you want to start.
No, I made my comments last week about how I was like, oh, maybe a few months ago, I was like, oh, Nigerian youths are not willing to die for Nigeria. But look at it now. I think, Nigerian used to rather die from coronavirus at this point than die from SARS.
Is there virus? Is the
So,
virus still there?
with virus, you know what I mean? So I think it's a testimony of the sheer will and the sheer just unity that we are seeing from this generation coming up, and also just looking at our governments, right, and looking at how the responses from our government have been very, very mixed. So looking at all of that and really seeing everything face front, now is not the time to be hiding or looking for what things that are happening. Everything is in our face. So I'm not surprised, because I knew you have to get to a point where you will be pushed to speak out, right? So I'm not surprised. But I will say that I'm quite shocked at the magnitude of people that have come out, because we've had protests back in the day, with the Bring Back Our Girls movement and things like that. We've had a lot of protests, but this is the first time I'm seeing people of this amount come out, and I think it's very. I'm proud. I'm very, very proud. So yes, you guys are willing to die for Nigeria. I'm willing to die for Nigeria now. All of this stuff is like motivating me. So keep going.
Yeah. There's so much I want to say. There's so much I know all of us want to say, but man, like I'm just so proud to be Nigerian at this moment in time too. But I want to introduce our guest for today. Another guest that we have for today. We have Major Adebayo Adeleke on the show today. And I want Major to give us a brief introduction of himself and just get into the topic too. And we would like to hear what he has to say about this whole movement.
Bayo Adeleke is my name. I served 20 honorable years in the U.S. Army before I retired. And I've been I won't say privileged, but I've been maybe privilege is the right word to use. I've been opportune rather to be part of to fight against terrorism and some kind of and any kind of oppression globally. So I have some kind of knowledge on security to a large extent, and I think what Nigeria is facing right now is very pivotal. So that's just all about me. There's other things I've been through, but for the purpose of this conversation and not to kind of take away from it, yes, I'm in the security space. Now, when this whole thing started about a week and some change ago, kind of look at it to see where this is going, because we've seen those kind of sporadic protests before and whatnot. But I'm not shocked, but I'm also in awe of what is going on, because at some point, Nigeria has this is uncharacteristics of Nigerians. Nigerians really don't act like this. So, and for this to happen, it has been this really cut across different fault lines. So everyone here have had at some point some encounter with Nigerian police force, either Italy or unpleasant. So we have all kind of stories that we've heard personally or that's very close to us. So it is easier for us to rally behind something, especially if there's a force behind it, showing that we can actually make a change. So I am not, like I said, I am not surprised, but I'm in awe of everyone coming behind this. A lot of people took them a while to get behind it, but it does make sense. This is very historical nature. This is historical nature because Nigeria is what we call the center of gravity for Africa. So geopolitics, Nigeria is quite a center of gravity. So whatever happens in Nigeria kind of dictate the tone for the rest of the continent. So it is not only bringing change or revolution in Nigeria only, but it speaks for the rest of Africa and how things are going to be going on from there. So I'm for the nearest future, I want to see how players in Nigerians in African space going to react to this. China, US, the European Union, because there are so many players in this, and some of them have benefited or not benefited for some of the action that is going on. So it's going to be very interesting because when there's a shift here, the shift has a way of kind of replicating itself over the course of time. Like I was explaining to someone, like what happened between 98 and 99 is virtually we are now reaping the benefit of it. Even though because during transition during that time, the ability to protest is not going to be able to happen. You gotta give it to what I mean. In as much as the current administration in Nigeria is quite inept, we gotta give it to them. Nigerian democracy has matured. You know, of getting people on this, because if you in 2000, 1993 and all those guys, you know, if you protest at your own risk, because I mean those days were dark days of Nigeria, you know, but we have moved past that, you know. Even now that there's a lot of people perpetrating the news that, you know, the government, they want to, you know, start this crocodile smile or whatever, Operation Crocodile Smile, but that is quite. I think that would be quite a suicidal attempt from the government to do that, and I believe they know that as well. So they've matured. I mean, now they are talking about negotiation. Nigeria is not now old Nigerian administration that will use force by all means necessary to make their point. So now we are moving away from authoritarian way to more diplomatic way. In as much as they're still not doing where we need to, but it's a progress.
Yeah, you know? It's a huge progress.
It's a huge progress. It could have been way worse than what we're seeing on this. I mean, having Nigerian origin I'm proud of this moment because this moment doesn't come too often in history. And we might not see this kind of moment again because it's kind of energy, but we might not see in my lifetime, we might not see it again, or we might see it, who knows, you know, and to be honest with you as well, too, you have to look at it, but it is all, like I said, I'm not surprised because this current generation is different. If you look at Black Lives Matter that happened in the US of recent, they led the charge on that. And if you look at the research that's been going on, this current generation is completely different. They view things differently. And my friend in the UK and I, we spoke about this a lot, and there's hope for this current generation actually, and there's intention for them to right all our wrongs because they see things differently. They don't amass wealth like we do. They have different view of things. They rather use Uber or Airbnb instead of buying a house. They are generous. They don't do things. They see things differently. So for us, we grew up in this process-like environment whereby you have to get a car, have to get a house. We have that mentality, and to be honest with you, there's no way we can get out of that mentality in any shape, in any time soon. So for them, it's easier for them to be like, you know what, this collectivism that is going on right now, it's easier for them to rally around it. So, like I said, it's very awful because they did it in the US, and the other part of the world, they've seen their generation actually leading the charge as well. So it's about time. Like, look, if they can do it, why not us? So, like every other Nigerian, I'm quite proud of this particular moment in history, and what we do of it, what we make of it, is what I'm quite. I'm very, very, inquisitive about what the future is going to hold because this is quite strange. So everybody is like we're in a new territory. We don't even know what is going to come out of it. But I have to do some speculations, and I'll let everyone talk before I hog the hair time.
Great one.
Okay. Yeah, so to all our viewers, we would like you to go ahead and comment in the sections. tell us what you think about the whole NSAS and all the hashtags. Are you impressed, or how impressed are you? Are you surprised? We all know we're all happy, so we want to make it an interactive session rather. English is too much. Anyway, so just go ahead and
and,
NSAS, that's all that
English,
matters.
English
Please
brutality.
English, NSAS.
exactly. So I'll let Diola or Constant take the first too. I think Diola should be able to tell us how surprised are you, or rather, how impressed are you?
Surprised not so much, especially because it is the Sorosoke generation that are actually speaking up. But impressed I am. Impressed I am. And the main reason I'm impressed is I think after our show last week, I did kind of say, well, I really hope they don't back down. I think one thing that has encouraged the movement a lot is just social media. Social media has really, really encouraged the movement because it's shining a spotlight on everything. It's encouraging everybody. We're no longer relying on the mainstream media to feed us lies. So we're seeing it happening live and direct. And even when people get tired, like people wake up in the morning and say, "Are you tired? Don't be tired. Just retweet. Your only job is to retweet." And they are the pressing phone generation, and they know how to press phone. The world is paying attention. The movement is, I think someone tweeted it about 10 years ago, and then this Nigerian Twitter user Mazi Ibe, he also retweeted it, saying that the revolution will not be televised; it will actually be tweeted, and that's what we're seeing happening. So yes, impressed I am, surprised. We've been saying it on this show now that it's coming, and I'm just really, really glad that I'm alive to see it happening, and I'm going to pass it over to someone else on my internet.
Mr. Constance, I know you have a lot to say.
Yeah, I think like everyone I've said, I'm just proud of this generation. We've been saying it. I didn't know it was gonna come like this quick, and I'm so impressed that it came this quick. And not just that, somebody mentioned that Nigeria gathered about 600 billion naira for COVID, and no family has been touched by that money. But these people who says they don't need a leader, they don't want a leader, they don't have a leader, has been able to gather money, they've been able to provide food, they've been able to provide medical services. And I saw a picture of a lady yesterday on crutches. Fortunately, one of my friends have a shop near her house. So this is not like a faceless person. They know this person, and within how many hours they've been able to raise money for a prosthetic leg.
Minutes. So
You
not hours.
understand?
15 minutes, they raised 500,000 in 15 minutes.
If people on the streets like this can do something, then we need to question every of our leaders. NSAS is not just NSAS anymore. This is whoever it is in the position that is not doing his bits and helping to kill Nigerians and depriving Nigerians from what they deserve needs to be tackled at this time. You see, if it's taking about 20 years, over 20 years to build Lagos Ibadan Expressway, then those people in charge need to be checked. They are part of the SARS people we're talking about, because I know a lot of people that have died on that road that were not supposed to be, just because of bad road. Look at what happened on Otedola Bridge yesterday. These things need to be tackled. And I'm happy that people are taking it beyond just NSAS. Yes, that's where we're starting from, but end everything that is not normal in that country, because corruption.
Sorry to cut you. The whole NSAS thing is deep in the root of everything that is bad in Nigeria.
Exactly. So, you can't give people guns and be paying them that low amount of money. And people that have been in service for 17 years, and when you see your mates who you went to school together with, and it becomes a politician, and you are doing yes sir, and this person is wallowing in billions of naira and flashing, how do you want them to feel? I'm not, like I said last week, I'm not justifying the reason why the police are doing what they are doing. But the thing is, we allowed it to happen. And now it's time. If the older generation says shut up, this is the Sorosuke generation, which I'm really impressed. Nobody's going to keep
your mic.
Yes,
your
nobody.
Sorosuke.
Nobody is going to keep Nigerians down anymore. Excuse me. So I'll pass it on to someone else to give their own thoughts about this.
I know you're itching to talk.
Oh no, my thought. I think from what Mr. Adeleke said, I think when he said that we are moving away from this like authoritarian type of system, and I think it's definitely because like the media attention, like Adeola was saying, like none of our leaders want to be embarrassed. This is the time where if the media picks up your injustices towards people, it's not going to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
You know, you are not blocked off from the rest of the world anymore. We are not North Korea. You understand? Like everything will be tweeted out, everything will be reported, you know, and I think, you know, people will start to be prosecuted on, you know, the International Criminal Court. You're going to see things go to an international level. You don't deal with those things now. So they are very cautious. They are tiptoeing around things. Even some politicians are not even saying anything right now because they don't even know where the chips are going to fall, because they don't want to harm themselves and their family, put themselves on display. But at the same time, they
so that they will not be able to travel.
Right. So like this protest has shown us that like, wow, like nobody wants to be ashamed right now, you know. So they are taking it easy with us. And so I think now is the time to capitalize on that. You know, now as youth, this is the time to take full advantage of that, because we know that anything that's happening now, you will be retweeted, you will be reposted, you will be cancelled, you know. So that's what I'm thinking from that. It's just like this authoritarian shift. And because of all the technology that's going on right now, it makes complete sense.
Just to buttress your point, I think that's the major thing about this whole protest. That's the major force behind this protest and why it is still going. Like the whole media attention is the biggest thing. CNN, Al Jazeera, Twitter, it's on everywhere, and the world
BBC, local news in different diasporan cities like Toronto, Houston.
Toronto.
Yeah, Houston is carrying
Toronto today too, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
there's no way anyone in leadership would want to mess up right now. And Mr. Adeleke mentioned something like in 1990s, something.
Oh, Abacha will have shut down the internet. There's nothing we can do about it.
It was a different era.
Yeah,
and that was, I mean, June 12th. Yeah, and it was a different era. And if you have protested on the street, you will have just wasted your life. You know, and the thing is, you know, as the caption says, what's next? So I believe in every, you know, uproar or uprising or insurgency, depending on whatever adjective you want to use or adverb or whatever. I'm not my part of speech is kind of all wrapped up now, but the thing is, what do the youth have? They've created a wave, and I think. What they need right now, and I think is guidance from folks that are older, that understand, they also share their viewpoint. Because the way, if they're not, because I mean, most of them don't understand how the system works. And you can wake up one day and just say you want to demand this. I wholeheartedly believe that Nigerian youths, because this generation don't really, for the most part, if not because of the SARS, the killings that cut across different front lines, for the most part, I really don't care about the government. They make their own money, they do their own thing, and nobody cares. But now
the government doesn't work for them. Everybody has to provide for yourself.
Most of them don't even work for the employers. The employers are not even here. They're in Nigeria, they're overseas. So you can't really bark at anyone. You're like, look, I work for a guy in France. I work for all that kind of thing. But so where do we go from here? I think. Because right now they don't want to negotiate. I mean, I understand that. And I think there's a stage in everything. They have to hear their grievances. They're angry. And you have to give them time to hear to voice out their anger. Every Nigerian, and this is a therapeutic process, you know. that you can actually, you know, have. I mean, because the process, you have to hear your anger. Things that have been bottling up. Backdrop, COVID-19, you know, no work, everybody shut down. So there's a lot of factors in there. And after that, and I understand that they don't want to, they don't have a leaderless, they have a leaderless group. They don't want to talk. They don't want to talk to anyone right now. That's fine, but that's only effective to a point. You know, as I always mention, Arab Spring, where there's an historical context to it, they had a leaderless thing as well, and the whole thing went south after a while. So the thing is always good to a certain point, and then you have to negotiate at some point. You have to, and this idea that you're talking to them, that doesn't mean you're backing down. You know, I always tell in an hostage crisis, the first thing that happens in hostage crisis is that you open a line of communication. If you really want an outcome, you know, you have an open line of communication, because you're dialoguing with them about the process, about the transparency that involves in the process. That doesn't mean that you're backing in any shape or form. You just say that you're looking for a way forward. And I think, well, they have to get, because there's a distrust in the government, period. There's a distrust. Everybody is they don't trust each other. That they believe that some of them might be compromised. So I understand. I completely understand both sides. But at some point, cooler heads have to prevail. And I think they've made their voices, and now everybody is on the clock. Everybody is watching there. Everybody is now accountable. Look at Governor of Lagos State being accountable now, pushing stuff out. And I think that's what people want to see. So from here on out, they have to harness this energy. And I implore every one of them, because Nigerian politicians are not dumb. They're not dullards. They understand the impact of youth in their voting block. So if you don't have your PVC, go get it. Use this opportunity. Actually, in Lekki Tollgate, I'll get the government to come over there and start getting people to register. Because when they see you, you may be surprised that they're not into data analytics, but they're probably more than even the youth in themselves. Because they know who is voting for them, who is not. You know, no youth is going to stand in line for hours or something like that. They're quite impatient. This is a microwave generation. You know, they want it now. So if you cannot give them now, they're not going to follow up on it. But if you can actually do a voter registration, a voters drive, a massive voter, use this opportunity to do a massive voters drive, you put everybody in check. Like 2023 is not going to be game as usual. But those are the things that need to come out of this. You're going to demand, transparency. You're going to demand all this stuff. Yes, but there are a lot of things wrong with Nigeria. There is so much. This SARS is a symptom of so many issues. Actually, there's so many issues. So just like you triage, I don't know if anyone, I might be wrong here. You go to ER, you triage a patient, you fix the symptoms, and then you go in there to figure out what the root cause is. Now, as I put on my social media, is the fact that as you go towards the root cause, you might be uncomfortable. There are certain things you will find out that you might find yourself being implicated in the process, but do not be deterred. Because if you stayed in Nigeria too long, you've probably been part of the whole system of this craziness going on in Nigeria. So you have to figure out, like, you know what? At some point, I've been part of the system as well, and I've been a contributor to this whole crap. And these things got out of hand. So the process is going to, I was exchanging with a friend as I was driving in today, like, you know what? Until Nigerian police can actually detain a military man, then I know that something has changed in Nigeria. Because you don't know that single action. You don't know that single action, what that single action means. Because you have the Nigerian military on one side, you have Nigerian police on one side. Who is responsible for the internal security of Nigeria? It's the Nigerian police force.
Definitely.
Can you tell me authoritatively that its sergeant can actually handcuff a soldier and take them to the prison cell? I don't think that has ever happened.
You remember when there was a fight between the military and the police in what year was that? That it burns down the police barracks because a police officer slapped a military officer or something in Nigeria.
Exactly. So there's so much wrong with the system. If the Nigerian military believes that they are over Nigerian police force, then that's another issue on itself. So all these things have to be corrected. So the salary is even far from it. I know everybody. The Nigerian train, a lot of people dying on during this protest. It's not like intentionally gunshot. It came from accidental discharge. That shows lack of training. There's no way your hand should be in the trigger well when you're chasing a protester. First of all, why are you even chasing a protester in the first place? They are armed. You have a weapon, and there's so much that is wrong. I spoke with a policeman years ago when I was in Nigeria. The guy we're just talking about stuff for the Nigerian police. The guy has never fired his weapon in 10 years.
Wow.
Has never fired his weapon in 10 years. So now you're giving a weapon to Nigerian policeman to secure someone, and he hasn't fired a weapon in 10 years. So there's so much to this that, the trust fund, we're only even talking about the welfare. Forget the welfare. The welfare is just a list of the one can be fixed. But the way these guys are donating, they can donate enough for their trust fund. I'm talking about things that they can't change. They've done absolutely. Look at what they've been able to, the infrastructures these guys are able to raise within a couple of weeks. And we shouldn't be carried away because they've done this. Nigeria is a very complex society. It's one of the most complex societies I've ever seen. You have about 300 ethnic groups over there that everybody will believe the ethnic group is the best.
Correct.
So it's a juggernaut, and I do not envy folks in the government. At the same time,
it's hard to cover Nigeria. Very hard to cover Nigeria.
Exactly. So this whole thing, I think the youth, because there has to be a lot of education, and I know there's a distrust. The police don't trust the citizens don't trust the police, citizens don't trust the government don't trust either. So there's a lot of distrust, and to build that up, first of all, the government, I believe, have to come and admit that, we screwed up. We failed you. And I think that's the healing process, because healing has to happen at some point here. They failed the citizen, and this is the part of the healing process. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't foresee it happening.
It has to come from the top down. And right now, we can't find the top.
So I think the vice president has come out
to do right now
several times to say that this week we failed you and we're going to fix it. I think he's the only person that I've really spoken about this somehow. But he's a vice president. He can only do whatever he's assigned to do, and I think he's just trying to squeeze himself to make sure, because before this started, I think he mentioned that if we don't restructure, something is going to happen in the country. They've started feeling it. You can see the religious leaders also talking about it a couple of weeks back, that if this thing is not being fixed, that something is going to happen. Nigeria will kind of degenerate, and some part of the world has been waiting for something like this to happen. But I know Nigerians love each other so much, but I don't know if we're going to separate, if we're going to degenerate more than this, because I've seen military guys on the street recently, I think 2 days ago, trying to harass people, and everybody stood right in front of them and said, you can shoot all you can, you won't shoot more than one bullet, we will kill you all here. So it's getting to a point that if the government is not stepping up right now, it might get out of hand. We don't know where this is going to head.
And that is my concern as well, because like I said, let's look at Martin Luther King in the 60s when it was in the US, when it was during a peaceful protest. This one was organized. They were able to move the protest during the day and they negotiate at night. Unfortunately, he wasn't alive to see the fruit of his labor. But after they signed the 1967 Civil Rights Act, America changed. 1967 and 1965 was Immigration Law Act. Because of all this, a lot of us that are here in America today is because of that. We will not be able to be in America today if not because of those actions those folks took. And you look back at it, like, how did he do it? You were talking about, this is not even the same people who are the same race. These are people from different races, working for a common goal. And I was able to do it by understanding it. And when he went there, he didn't go by himself. He went in troves of other people. So if you're going to compromise him, you can't compromise about 15 other people that are here with me, and there's strength in numbers. So I will advise as they go forward, because as we know, and I will explain, give me a couple of minutes here to explain what, in my own view, what I believe was going on. We've embraced democracy and democratic values from my viewpoint, and our cultural values is colliding.
Yeah.
You have the generation of off your mic. You have the generation of okay. Where in history, you never thought in history a day will come the Nigerian youth will back at their elders, and this is what's going on. Regardless of whatever is going on, you have to give that reference to your elders. And this idea of democratic values, that you have to fight for your right. And when your right, or whoever is the custodian of your right, are the elders. This is a new form, and I believe Nigeria can take advantage of it. This is a time we can redefine what democracy it is to us. How do we merge our cultural values with our democratic values? Because right now, it's colliding. Colliding in such a way that the president believes that work is hard work, Anyone that doesn't do hard work is lazy. And then you have, I mean, with that, we have intergenerational communication issues. The kids that they can be on their computer all day, that's work to them. I mean, they can be working for somewhere, some person in Bangladesh, who cares? But they're making money, but to them, that's not work. So all this stuff is coming together. How does, I mean, I understand that, I mean, depending on the version of the story you went to, the monarch fled the palace at some point, Bomosho. Why would you even, this is not even 1800s, whereby a palace, somebody will send on a but because of some security threat, the monarch actually fled. So you're beginning to think that something is actually, there's a change that is going on. And it's going to be very hard because we are, for this thing to work, both the young, the old, and the people in the middle have to come together and make a difference. So what kind of Nigeria do we have? Where does the king rule, the monarch? Where does it stop? Where does the government work? Because all these things are a lot of just colliding values. Nobody even knows the nuances around it is just too much. So how we go from there, I believe, I mean, if we have a uniting leader in Nigeria, I think this is the moment they can seize the moment and say, you know what? How do we define what kind of democracy do you have in Nigeria? What is the places for our kings and monarchs and elders? And where does the youth stand? And how can the youth help us propel the future? Because right now, there's a light going on, just going on right now. It's just I'm even shocked because if you look at the Twitter comments, Baba Adeboye is, regardless of whatever divide you come from, he's still a well-respected man in Nigeria. He's regardless of your background, your religious background. But I'm hearing some vile comments from people. I don't even, that's like, wow, this is very strange. Comment, I mean, Twitter presents a platform whereby you can speak your mind and nobody will, cheat. But right now we have people that, regardless, they don't even care no more. They don't care for elders. They don't even, everybody can speak. So we have lightning, like Pastor Samadhi said, can light a whole city, but if it's not careful, can destroy a whole city as well. So we have to find a way. And I believe for some of us that are a little bit removed, that we are not in our 50s yet, they're not too far from this generation. We can help them. I said, look, guys, I believe you guys can do it this way. All they need is guidance. You can't stop them. Obviously, you can't stop this generation, so.
All right, thank you very much. Let me read a few comments before we move on. Sade said, I am impressed but not surprised. And Mufe said, super proud of our generation. Something has to change because we can't go back to how things were. This protest has put a spotlight on how corrupt the Nigerian system is. Shadi also said, but what I am keen to see is what is going to come of it. There's need to be a reform of the whole system. There needs to be systems, checks and balances. She also said, the emergency services must be paid a living wage. They are civil servants with no health care, no insurance, no benefits and entitlements. It is madness. She also went on to say the government needs to be grateful the police and SARS haven't joined the protest. And Mufe said the EndSARS protest is the tipping point.
Yes.
Is the tipping point of the youth. We have been dealt with leaders that are too lazy to do anything. So for all our viewers who have just joined us, or if you're still watching, if you have any comments, go ahead to the comment section and go ahead and put it, how you feel about the EndSARS movement and what you think should be next. I know Mr. Adeleke said at some point, some representatives will have to have a dialogue with the government. There has been this clamor where, for example, Banky W said, when a company is faulty, you fire the CEO. Now people are asking for the head of the IGP to move forward for representatives to represent us in dialogue. Do you think that should come before the IGP steps down? Or what do you think about the IGP as a whole stepping down? I'm so sorry, you're already bending your head.
So, I mean,
this is the thing. I think timing is everything, right? I think, okay, you're calling for the IGP to step down, and that's fine. But we need to situate ourselves first, right? We're going around saying we have no leader, we have no leader, we have no leader, right? At a point, we're going to, as Mr. Adeleke said, we're going to need a leader. We're going to need somebody that will speak for us. We're going to need maybe not one person, maybe 5 people that are, skilled in different places, so that when we hold the IGP accountable, when we hold our leaders accountable, there are people that we can fall back on to say, okay, these are the examples, these are the people, these are the types of people that we want in place. So I think, yeah, cool, let's deal with the IGP and let's deal with the government and everything first, but let's deal with ourselves first and then deal with those people. Because once we get ourselves together and we say, okay, these are our 5 non-negotiable points. Okay, you have checked off everything on the 5 or is it 7 now? I don't know.
It's now 7.
It's now 7, right? So you've checked off everything on those 7 points. The next step now is, these are our leaders. These are the examples that we need. Follow through with these people, and then those people should be able to guide us. So I think that's how it should go. I don't think we should just be there, attack, because okay, once everything is done, then what happens with us? Do we just go back to protesting? Where's the middle ground?
I don't think the youth can dictate who the IGP should be. The IGP, by the Constitution, is the responsibility of the government, of the president. Right. And the way the whole thing is shaped, I look at, and to be honest with you, and I think a lot of you do not understand how the government works. The government is quite complex. It's very complex. So, for example, in the U.S. here, the president of the United States, inside the White House, there is a press corps there. Remember when RGB died? They didn't even know. Actually, they informed me that, do you know that Justice Ginsburg has? I said, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And the reason why is the fact of the matter is the press corps kind of keeps the democracy honest. Whatever the report, what is actually going on, and make the analysis. Now, the president is guarded on the news the president consumes on a daily basis. The president probably lives one of the most protective life. Most presidents that I know, I don't know Muhammadu Buhari, and I think the same thing employs it, that they live a very protective life. They sort out what kind of information gets to them or not. They don't watch news like that. Maybe Trump does. I'm not so sure, but the rest of them, they get security briefing every day, every morning before they step out for anything, because anybody can ask them what is going on. So my question to is, I don't know how Nigerian workings does. Because people are like, Buhari is not hearing. But honestly, do you know what kind of information is being presented to Buhari on a daily basis? Because in my inner workings of presidencies around the world, they are very guarded. The time is from 6 a.m. till whenever they go to bed. Some of them, if you look at Obama's regime, he only wakes up about 2 to 4 in the morning to actually do something for himself. And most of them don't even watch the news because the information is too much. So their security advisors, which, by the way, I believe the IGP is part of the one for Buhari, they have to look at, sir, this is what is going on in the south. This one is going on in the north. But again, maybe they told him, and he was like, oh, it's fine. The pepper soup in there. They're eating pizza. It's not really a protest. Okay. They might not give him the real extent, the severity of it. I don't know. Because
I don't know. I don't know. This is day 11. I mean, day 1, day 2. This time last week, we could have had this argument. Now, but I think right about now.
I think he knows now. But again, so IGP has a fault. I believe IGP has a fault here because the president cannot say no more SARS, and then there's still SARS officers shooting people. So is either there is a mutiny, or people are not listening to the president, or they have their own chain of command that they go through. Because if the president of a nation says that you should do something, I don't feel like you're okay with it, you just resign, But you cannot have a president telling you that something is going on and then you just have your own thing. So obviously there is a disconnect within the police chain of command, and the president should be able to address that.
Yeah, I think that's something that Consam raised last week. The Nigerian police actually needs to be decentralized. We need state police in Nigeria. We can't continue having this federal. Nigeria is too large for this federal policing. We need state police in Nigeria, like we really do.
Yeah, even for the trouble that is happening right now, when SARS started, and you take them away from the commissioner of police from the state and they report directly to the IG, how many of them will IG control at the same time? And that's where the problem emanated from. There's no issue having a special unit in the police force. But when the command is straight from the IG and nobody can talk to them, who do you want them to listen to? They just wake up and do whatever they want to do. Even if the IG, and I won't say the IG doesn't know, because somebody said something. One of the reporters in Nigeria did an interview with a police officer. He says all the money that is being collected from the streets goes back to some of their leaders. So it's not just for those people on the street. So it's not like they won't know. They know what's happening, but everybody's benefiting. They find a way around it. All of them are poor at one point, but they find a way around it. They have 2 kids like some other people. They have 4 kids like some other people. They don't have health insurance. They don't have, their kids goes to the same school. You know, look at the man that spoke and said he's been in the service for 17 years and he has said he will not collect bribe. But his kids still go to the same school with other people. They still, and he doesn't want to raise his kids in the barracks. You need to see the state of the barracks in Nigeria. You won't want to raise any
Mr. Constance, Mr. Constance, so here's the thing, and I think the lady rightfully mentioned of decentralization and what needs to happen in Nigerian government. But the more I look at all these requests and all these demands, the more I realize of what is encompassing in Nigerian, what is asked of Nigerian government. Nigerian government is becoming, and I don't know how we define government in Nigeria, because oftentimes, and I think Nigerian government has been so centralized so much that everything is expected of them. Now they become like a god. It's like you're requesting everything from them. For the issue of security, for one point, there's no way the Nigerian, like she said, there's no way Nigerian security should be centralized. Absolutely not. There's a cultural implication. Imagine we have over 300 cultural groups in Nigeria. How do you expect one particular cultural group will, I mean, it just doesn't make sense, but we've been able to manage, patch it for all these years. But it's reaching the point whereby people cannot take it no more. Half of the people that are policing in the South, they're not literally from the South, you know? So now they come up with this Amotekun deal in the Southwest. That's a different conversation on its own. But the fact of the matter is the security is so central, even it's so clamped up that for you to actually have a private security company, because you know, over here in the US, a police officer can work in the county or whatever, and then at the end of the day, end of the week, he can actually move to another private security and be a bouncer in the club. And I don't think those are even allowed in Nigeria, you know? So there's so much things that need to be reformed. There's so much reform that needs to go on. And I honestly, and I hope that the youths are ready for this, because the reform is going to be what they're asking for. What they're asking for from the government, I believe the government can't give them immediately. I'm even worried, like one of my friends said, you should be worried about a SWAT team that was constituted over 24 hours, you know?
Yeah.
you have a SWAT team that was constituted over 24 hours. You then worry, how did this happen? And then you have, I mean, from my military background, you cannot have, you can't just disband a unit like that. It takes a year, about 18 months to disband a unit. There's a process to disbanding a unit. People in that unit, you have to move them to a different location. You have to find space for them. So this idea that I just disband SARS is just very disingenuous. I mean, I don't even know how they even want to tell them to disband. You know, I said, what, 7,000 people in there? I think give or take, plus or minus 7,000 people. How do you explain you just disband 7,000 people overnight? I mean, kind of, you take weapons from them, take everything from them, and just move it out. So there's a lot of accountability, and to be honest with you, I don't think Nigerian government can do it. I honestly do not think they can do it.
So can we just say that?
I think we need to rely on ourselves for accountability.
They don't want to.
That's why we need to bring an accountable board, so they can rely on us. I mean, we can rely on ourselves to hold these people accountable, because we cannot rely on the Nigerian government to hold them accountable. I don't think so. I don't think that we need to give them that power again, because that's what we've done for years and years and years. So if we're holding all of these individuals accountable, saying this is what you've promised us, if not, we're going to go back to the streets. So I think that the issue is accountability. You have to hold them accountable somehow. And it starts with us, again, like I was saying, picking our leaders, picking the people who will represent us. Say, okay, you people go and petition the government, get this IGP guy out, or go. So I know that they are being democratically elected, or however they are being elected, but we need a voice. We need some people.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me say something. I think I heard I saw something before joining to the show from, I don't know if we follow SARS. Did I say SARS? Yeah, no, not
Sounds on the beat.
Fowles the bad guy. Celebrity, Fowles.
Fowles the bad guy, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a voice for a voice of reasoning for a lot of people. In fact, the whole Falana family, Fowles and
For a long
his
time, yeah. I was gonna say for a long
sister,
time.
his sister as well. If you follow his sister Folake too, she's also been explaining some things on her Instagram page. So I think I heard Fowles say something that that the government is setting up a state panel to discuss this issue going on, and they are requesting, I think, two youth representatives to talk about what is going on. I don't know how real that is, but it might be a good step to having a state panel. But the question is, if this panel is done, or when they are putting them together, I think what Faz was saying is there must be at least two representatives from the youth, and the matters that will be discussed should be acted upon. And those two representatives from the youth will be the ones that will drive and push for the accountability.
Yeah, but he also said, sorry, Constant, let me just add, he said it should be like a Puta panel. Everybody will watch it.
It should be televised.
That's exactly what I want to ask. Is it going to be televised? Is it because I remember what Sheon said like about 3-4 weeks ago or sometimes ago. He said Nigerians are asking him to use his platform to come out. He said, no, I'm not going to do that again, because the last time I did, some of you all went back and got an appointment, you got some money, you used that platform to cheat. He said, if Nigerians are ready to come out themselves, he will be there with them, that he's also a Nigerian, which happened. He came out, he joined this thing, because by the time you start separating and removing some people, they will be threatened, they will be bought over, like that. But if it's transparent, if it's open, I think we will get somewhere.
That's the step of accountability.
Yeah, I think everything should be streamed. If you are going to put it on IG Live, so that everybody is going to watch. If you are representing Edo State, all the youths in Edo State should be watching. And you say this is what we have agreed on. So you don't go behind the camera and agree something else.
You see,
I think let me say something before we go on. It brings me to a point that Major Adeleke mentioned, and I think this is our biggest problem in Nigeria. I have been trying to, when this whole thing started, I've been trying to see if we can find a balance between this. There's a very, very huge clash between democratic values and cultural values. Cultural values has become a very big thing in Nigeria, that if as a youth you are speaking up, they're going to be saying you don't talk to an adult like that. But they are so I think the youth that are even going to represent us, as they are setting up this panel, that is my own point that I don't know how we can pass it out. Maybe this will help. That if they're setting up this panel, we need youths that are very good, who know how to balance this cultural democratic values.
I think that was why a lot of people were like, oh, Shore was too vocal, because Shore was pounding down on everybody. But you know what? It is the frustration. This guy is not just yesterday's
exactly.
He started way back.
It's the frustrations.
Exactly.
When you want to learn from. If I say we want to do democracy, learn from even the Democrats themselves.
Look at it this way. Let me give you two examples, and I don't care. I don't care who is on which balance right now. Showore was there when Abiola started. Right, he was in school and he kept fighting for. He will push for good governance, and those people will come back and they will mess up, and he will also. He's not afraid to say, oh, we supported this person, we messed up, or we need another person, right? But we have the same Jagaban in Lagos who fought for democracy. And today, you are using Owabu to do Abula Lejo, and you are still cheating on them. You understand? So we need a balance, truly. We need a balance. We need people who are not afraid. Like Aisha Yesufu, I will give it to her anytime, any day. That woman is fearless. And some other people too, that we can say can represent us, who are fearless, who knows what people are going through on the street. who are feeling the impact. Not, there are a lot of people who wants to be at the lead, but they're still not on the street. Some people think they're on the street. You're living in a house, you're running 24 hours electricity. You think you're on the street? No, go to the street. You will see people who are feeling the direct impact of what is happening. And I'll say this: Nigerian problem is not so big that we cannot solve easily.
I think that cultural wala is a big thing.
You see that culture? Let's even put the cultural wala. Jonathan administration spent a lot of money trying to prepare for restructuring and all of that. What happened to the report? What if we decentralize the country and each state can take care of its own self, and we're running through federalism? We won't be talking about decentralizing police because already they are decentralized. Already the state. Imagine. Look at this in Nigeria. I heard that some northern states, for the fact, are taking gold to CBN or something like that. I read something about that. I wasn't very sure about that. That means they've been tapping their own resources. Whereas in the south here, you cannot tap your own resources because it belongs to the federal government. Like I keep saying, Ondo State has bitumen, which is the second largest deposit in the world after Canada. Yet we're spending over 600 billion every year to import bitumen to make road. Which road safe?
Non-existent roads.
I've been to Ajaokuta to do some IT implementation for the Ajaokuta Steel Rolling Company. If you get to Ajaokuta Steel Rolling Company, that it's a city on its own.
So, Mr. Constance, like I said, the Nigerian government. You've been in the government before. You know how complex it is. It's very complex. It's a complex deal. You have the Northerners, they have their own different agendas. You have the Southern, we have our own different agendas. Even for now, some people don't even see it as Nigeria is under siege. They believe that since the North hasn't even chimed in for the most part, there really hasn't much left to say. It's just the Southern belt below the kind of belt. So that's some other people's view of it. So my question is, and I know you've been in this because I'm trying to understand, do you think a divided Nigeria through restructuring, do you think it will work? Because right now it's like we're just dragging each other on whatever we're doing, moving left, we're just dragging each other along. But do you think if you just let everybody to their fate, and everyone can just take care of itself?
America is decentralized and it's working. It will work in Nigeria. And I'll tell you this, the North should not tell us that they are scared if the South goes, because the North is not dependent on our oil. It's just our oil is the national cake for everybody in Nigeria. The biggest market in the world, the North owns it, which is Forex.
Sorry, to be clear, Mr. Constance, I know this might be going, some people might not be understanding. We are not asking for a divided Nigeria. We're just asking for a decentralized.
No. There's a huge difference. I'm not even supporting like a divided Nigeria. I don't think that will work. I'm just for decentralizing Nigeria. Each state, from whatever resources you have, from whatever you make, you pay back to the federal. You see, the only business you start from the top is digging a grave. You cannot, because the local government needs to be stronger than the state. The state needs to be stronger than the federal.
Absolutely. Local government should be the strongest form.
The strongest. So if the local government is strong, then each local government, I can build my road to your own doorstep, and you take it from there, and we share toll gates. Nigerians will be glad to pay any price to get electricity, good road, any kind of infrastructure, and the government don't even need to provide jobs for people. Government don't have business doing business. All they need to do, provide infrastructure. Nigerians will build their own businesses everywhere. They should try it with just giving us electricity and internet access and see in these 5 years where we will be in Nigeria.
I think the problem is who is controlling the budget and who is controlling the money. Because at the end of the day, where's the money coming from? Which accounts?
But do you know that Nigeria will make more money if each state dig into their own resources?
Correct.
See, let me tell you, the North has been feeding the South forever.
Right.
When it comes to feeding, if you can't feed people and be hungry, that's the everybody eats. So the North should not be scared of if we divide, or I mean, not divide. If we decentralize, we're not going to get enough. No, but that's the narrative that we've had from the British a long time ago. It needs to be changed. We don't need to shy about this thing. I watched a video online where one of the British leaders in those days that was sent to Nigeria started confessing on what happened, why they rigged the election and gave to the North. That's by the it's gone. Right. This is the new Nigeria. What we have in our constitution, even in the Nigerian police reform that we're trying to talk about. When last was Nigerian police reform done in Nigeria? When last was our constitution visited? What do we have in that constitution? Did we separate the old British rule from the new Nigeria that we're building? You understand? We're still carrying the baggage from, we need to sit down and say, this is what Nigeria should look like right now. And forget about where we're coming from. We've been divided, yes. If Nigeria is good today, if there's raid from Lagos to Kano to Jos to Bauchi, are we not Nigerians? It's like a mother that has different kids from, different fathers. Nigeria is good enough. We have more than enough to feed the entire Africa.
Absolutely.
The leadership that's the issue. I think the leadership, right? Because you have conflicts within states themselves, right? You have conflicts between governors and local government chairmen. How do you fix that conflict?
But it's even let them go and fight themselves in their
my question is, why don't you even hold the state governors accountable?
Because the state governors don't even have the power, sir.
Thank you.
I'll tell you this. When you have your monthly from the federal government and you remove salary and running cost of the governance, you don't have anything to build infrastructure. If you don't borrow money, you can't do nothing in the state. Go ask
why can't the state generate their own revenue?
Where are they going to generate from? Lagos is lucky because Lagos have been built before now. Lagos is being built, that's where the seat of power was before they moved to Abuja. Lagos has the seaport, they have all the companies. Imagine Dangote wanting to build refinery and he still went to the choked Lagos.
Right.
Because the taxes are going to come to Lagos. They can collect taxes and make use of it. Wow. But is it Ondo State or Osun State that will do which resources? If we don't decentralize, Osun State has gold in abundance. They can't even tap.
Oh, don't talk about that. They've sold it to the Chinese and the thing.
Osun State will not even have the right to sell it. That means the federal government have sold it. You see what we're talking about? Uncle Dangote too is in somewhere in Kogi State building his own cement factory and selling to us at the rate of 3,000. When you promised that it was going to be like 800.
Don't forget too that they don't collect taxes in Ondo and Osun.
Because where do you want to collect the taxes from? Let me from example, from experience. In Ondo State, when we got there, the internally generated revenue was like 500 million, and that was even tough. You can, as a governor, and you're human, it's even tough to collect it. But how do you increase it? You have to first better the life of the people. You have to first invite investors. Attract them. And if you're doing that, you're gonna give them tax break for a while and make them settle and all that. Each governor have their own tenure, 4 years, and you have your agenda for the 4 years. If you give them tax break, the next person is going to come and start collecting the same money. So we need to know that continuity will help. One, we need to know that we have to invite investors on what infrastructure that you cannot tap, or the resources you cannot tap, the infrastructure you don't have. See, Major, and maybe Shola have told you about this when I was, mentoring and running the hub. A lot of them don't want to come back to Akure. And I keep telling them, I said, look at the cost of living in Lagos. the cost of running your business in Lagos. It's IT. If you come back to Akure, Ondo State, it's easy, it's cheaper, and you have all this School of Technologies here where you can leverage on the resources from the school. I was happy when I found out that they moved back, have about 4 IT hubs in Akure right now, and they're functioning.
Yeah, but I have 10 guys that work for me out of Akure.
Thank you, Major. See, if I hadn't opened their eyes to see, maybe till now we wouldn't have just one over there. I knew it was tough at that point, but I look at it this way: to provide, even if you're running generator, even if you're doing solar, it's still cheaper when you're renting your office space. You can pay somebody lesser than you're paying them in Lagos, and they will still live comfortably well.
I think, Mr. Constant, let's get back to the discussion. I think it is certain that we on Nigerian space, what we want is a decentralized Nigeria, and I think that's what we should just the youth should focus on. Even as we're asking what is next. What is next from us, I think, is we need a panel to be set up that would involve us and our voices will be heard, like youth's voices. But my own point is we need youths or people on the panel that can know how to balance the democratic values and the cultural value. Because trust me, anything in Nigeria, when an adult, well, I don't want to be rude, when an adult sees that they don't have a point anymore, they will now start saying age. But
in our culture, it's very, very communal, and that has made us unique as a set of people. Every Nigerian that is thriving in any part of the world is because of those value systems. In as much it looks archaic in nature, but trust me, those value system has a way of shedding some kind of.
But Major, you remember you mentioned something that this generation is changing. Generation is changing to social media. They are changing to
the microwave generation.
The microwave generation,
like what they're doing right now. Like I want it now. Like
me, from my own experience. Like there are things that I have kids, and there are things they do that like in my life I would never do this to my papa, to my dad. I would have never done this, but I can't do anything to this boy because this generation has changed. So I'm the one trying to find a balance there. So
that's the thing. That's the thing.
We are more tolerant than our parents.
We won't change.
Exactly.
Every avenue of change, we're looking back. It's not going to happen.
Most people in Nigerian government, they're raised in an era of process and systems. We grew up in a process environment. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. There's a process in place. This generation did not grow up in a process environment.
And it worked.
Exactly. They grew up in an era of 24-hour news. They grew up in an era of internet.
Agile.
Internet. They grew up exactly. So there is a conflict. I mean, and only few, and I'll ask them as they go further, one of the next steps, people that are bridgers, people that know how to bridge, you understand both intergeneration, because like I said, Buhari's, if you ask Nigerian youths today to about 100 of them, maybe thousands of them to come and apply to lay railway from Lagos to Maduguri, nobody will show up. But if you tell them there's a tech war going on over there with telephone and everything, they'll be. So imagine me as a president, like these guys are lazy, because in my generation, that is work.
Yeah, that's true.
In their generation, why would who does that? That's not even work. That is like, it's like slavery to them, you know?
I actually disagree. I think if you pay them well enough, they will go and let those.
I don't know. I
think he's talking about manpower work, bro. Manpower work. See, our generation would think of a robot that will build those railways. That's what he's trying to say.
That's what I'm saying. You pay them enough, they'll use that money to create a robot to lay those ways.
As they go forward, I believe, you know, all of us at some point we have parents and we know how to get stuff from our parents. Regardless of how tough it is, we know what to do to get stuff from our parents. And in this generation, if they really want to get the power to themselves, they have to figure out a way to reach them.
That is my point. They negotiate. They need people who can negotiate.
Will not leave it. They will not give it to you. The only thing I see coming out of this is the government will not come out at the loose end. They have to figure out a way that is a win-win for both.
Yeah,
definitely. That's what is sustainable. Because the moment you guys win and the government comes out on the losing hand, oh no, that's just, you guys will come back on the street again.
It depends on what they call losing end, though, for the government. See, we're all clamoring for a change. We're all, like one of the ladies that came out, they said, I was raised in the barracks. I went to a police school, and I'm a graphic designer. I use my laptop. I'm not a Yahoo person, and he's speaking out like, police should stop the brutality. She's speaking out. So we have this culture, we have this separate people. I think the children raised in that culture too, as much as they want to speak out, they also know how to balance the difference. That's why a lot of, you see, nobody's vandalizing anything right now, because it's different from the kind of protest that people will come out and they vandalize, they do a lot of it's different. I think the tone is changing, and we can't separate our what do you call it, our culture from what we're going through right now. We can't, as much as the culture sometimes will pull us back. I don't think we want to totally get it out of place, or I don't know how to say it, but I think culture also has shaped us to get to.
Sorry to say, the culture thing is there, fair enough. But just I watched an interview by an activist, Indi Oku, I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, and what she's saying is the youth have been angry for so long. Accountability has nothing to do with culture. Let's even talk about the 5 points. Not a single person in power, because I refuse to call them leaders, not a single person in power has mentioned the name of a victim. Where's the accountability? What are they doing? There's so much mistrust. They keep saying the youth have to do this, the youth have to do that. The people that are in power, what have they given to show us that, okay, even if we dialogue with you, you are going to get what we dialogue about? They've done nothing. Nothing. So let's leave culture to one side for 1 second. Respect, please respect now. Respect, reciprocal. This is what they taught us. Come on. I'm not saying go out there and we can't
separate culture from who we are. We can refine the culture, but we can't separate from. There are a lot of things that me, you, Shupo, everybody we do right now. That's a little different from the way we learned it, or from the way, and it's working for us. You understand? But at the same time, there's something that keeps pulling us back. Like, hey, guy, this is not who you are. You understand? So we can't totally separate culture. Let's leave that by the side at the same time. But the thing is, we have to find a balance.
Yeah,
like May just said, you can't talk.
Essential.
Government is not the face of the people we're seeing every day. You see some people, they meant well, they get into office, but they cannot even pull a switch. And I'll make an example. This is open, everybody is out there. Fashola did a lot of jobs in Lagos. We were all shouting Fashola. In fact, when he gets there, electricity will be a thing of the past. Imagine, we're still 200 million people. We're talking about 5,000, 10,000 megawatts in 2020.
Yeah, the Nigerian government.
It's sad. You think he doesn't want to work? You think he doesn't want to perform? He doesn't want to build a name for himself? No, he can't. He can't even change a switch as he is right now.
He's got stuck in the swamp.
Oh yeah, and people will say, "Why don't you resign?" If he resigns, who gets there? We're even lucky we have representatives somewhere who can still say, "No, you cannot do this." You don't know what you're doing.
I don't think anyone that wants to get into government wants to go there and really embezzle money. I think wholeheartedly, at the beginning, all of them want to go there and do something. And then they get there, they realize that, oh snap, this is not going to work. Exactly. This is not going to work. And then they become somebody else. Because I was looking at Vice President Oshibajo's tweet. It was quite measured, kind of absorbed responsibility and kind of atoning for it. But at the same time, I realized that he's not a politician. He's not a politician, and they only use him for crisis management. They only use him when he's needed.
That's what I realized.
And I realized that even people already know that there's nothing you can do. I mean, regardless of how much you want to pile on in, but you can't. I think in most countries, you don't even know what the function of the vice president is. You just know that the president,
they just debate before the election, and that's it.
Exactly. So we really don't know what they do as a vice president. If the president is there, you really have to take permission from him to actually do anything.
Yeah.
So you really can't really do anything. And this issue of decentralization, I think the youth need to start working towards that goal. But how can we use this new energy that we find?
That is what I'm clamoring for.
Exactly. That we work for a system that works for us. Because this current system that is in place is not meant for the younger generation.
Yeah.
And
it's not working for Nigeria.
It's not working for Nigeria or the new Nigeria that's supposed to be here already. So this current system has to change. And for the system to change, it involves everybody hands on deck. So the question now is, Dangote that just had his refinery in Lagos, do you think he wants Nigeria to be regionalized or kind of decentralized? So there's a lot of also let the power plays in there. The people that have the distribution plants, distribution companies so this thing is very multi-layered. As simple as it is, it's very multi-layered.
But
the solution is like I said last week. The solution is if you have the power plant, if you have license to bring in generator, license to sell diesel, don't you think you will make money from over 200 million people when you provide them? Why don't you just go into the power sector and make sure that everybody have it?
Renewable energy is a new thing. Renewable energy or something.
I've not been to Accra.
Because the Chinese pay more.
Well, I've not been to Accra in a few years, and I'm sure they probably caught the lights in the house, but bills keep coming every month. They brought in 18 last week, and somebody was talking. You understand? So the thing is, these people will make money. Nigerians will pay when you provide the services. So why do you want to put us in a hole? How many people in Nigeria will buy that generator that you are bringing in? How much are you even making from the generator you're bringing in, from the diesel, from all those stuff? I think they'll make more money if they make things work. And Nigerians will not be bothered if you're stealing their money or not. If the rail is good, if the road is good, I don't think we'll be on the street like right now.
So, let's just.
You're talking about these people in power as if they actually care. That's the issue. They really do not. That's the issue.
It's a very utopian view.
I think from going forward, I think this new money, new structure the youth have developed, I think they need to have a master plan for it, a blueprint of what is the end state.
Yeah.
What is the game? Do we need to have how many senators, how many reps do we need to have? How do we go by? Do we incorporate into the old electoral system or we form our own?
Yeah.
Do we have enough people to kind of get this thing done?
Of
this thing, they have to be. It's a long game. It's like you said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
How do we approach it now? So what apart from setting up, people, we having these meetings and all of that, because sometimes when you set up,
before you make that point, before we talk about, I think our comments is piling up. I've been laughing reading the comments in the comment section.
Okay.
There's
I'm not sure if you guys are for the fact that we've been trying to hold back the laughter because I've been laughing so hard. So please just get to these comments, I beg.
Eagle said the youths are ready for the change. The off your mic generation are not. Let's start with them. Even say the names of the victims of the police brutality. And you have Olayide said Buhari is not fit to be president. He also said they are using SARS to intimidate the people youth, especially Southwest, South, Eastern, because they were more educated. Williams Fisaya said we day ground. Charles said, forget the parent matter.
I think this is about the whole cultural value thing.
About the culture, he said, no parents here, all adults. Who he said, who born who? He said, God. He said, we pin. Which culture? He said, nobody is an activist. Everybody is tired. And he brought humor into it. He said, culture is Cardi B's child. He said, my own is that 3 weeks ago, nobody thought this would happen, but we are here now. Now till we pin for Aso Rock.
Wow.
I think this just brings us to. I'm happy, like Major Adeleke has said. This generation is totally different. You don't care about culture. Culture to us now is we are defining our own new culture. We are not being rude.
Thank
but
you.
it's just that we are defining our own new culture, and I think the world needs to get with the program. I remember you said something about microwave generation. I remember back then when microwave came out. I won't lie. My parents and people in Nigeria will be like, don't you put your food in microwave. That's how you get cancer. Every house has a microwave now. You just got to get with the program. So you got to get with the program of this generation.
Yeah, I think where Major is coming from is also for us to see this government, these people we're fighting, they're adamant too. You know, for us to get to
they will change. We'll keep fighting on. We I said we're going to pin there. We have to keep.
Force cannot except we degenerate. Force cannot take them out like that. You know, some of them will reason. Respect is just too much. This culture thing is just too much. You know, but we need to find a balance for them to listen to us. We need to give them the platform.
You know that
come out now. Okay, go and look at comments on Twitter when Atiku came out and said something. Somebody said, "Sir, we are not voting for you."
Don't try to slide that in.
Don't try to come here.
But is that not the same thing they did to Diola and Shukwa's uncle, Senator Dino Milaye?
You know, but Dino said something before he left.
Behave yourself.
But if you have a system that has accountability and it works for everyone, regardless whoever the president, look at Trump for America now. Regardless whatever happens, Trump and the system is there. You can't do within the limit of what the system allows them to do. Correct. So if you have a very entrenched system, it doesn't really matter who comes in, who can weigh your vote. When it gets in there and the system puts in a checker, you can't go to the left, you can't go to the right. So but our whole system is degenerating. As I was talking to a lawyer, he's like, look, you can't just match all these police officers and just retrench them. It doesn't work that way. They have rights. You know, I mean, you need to present evidence in court. Some of these guys might be acquitted. What's going to happen if they're acquitted? Because there's lack of facts. So all these things we have to put into perspective. You can't just move one police officer here. For example, if they fire IG, they might have to fire about 5 or 6 of them. So I have to bring the new one in.
20. AIGs.
Not to fire about 20 of them. So okay, these guys are gone. I have to promote you because you can't just fire one and just let one go because that's how they have it in Nigeria quota system. So these things are not something that it can be moved like that. But the youth want it like now, like. We don't care. We want it now.
I like the fact that you mentioned that point. I was talking with a friend of mine. He's Nigerian. He said he's never going back to Nigeria. He's in America. So he's never going back until Nigeria changes until the law is changed in Nigeria. That our law is not working. Whatever law we have in Nigeria is not working. That the law cannot even, like you said, the police, the military is over the police. The police cannot arrest the military. That's the law. Is there no law against that in Nigeria? Is the system?
It is. It is in the Nigerian constitution. It is. The thing is, until the policeman can arrest a military man, then Nigeria has changed.
Exactly. Until our law is working. If we're a lawless country, like the law is not working. If you are rich, you get out of anything in Nigeria. If you are rich, you get out of any offense. Or if you you get out of everything. So until the law starts working, the law that we have, who's interpreting the law? The lawyers, how are they interpreting it? Our reps, how are they really sitting down to look at this law to discuss about this law? that we have. So
because we take, I mean, that, like I said, we, because we take their money and vote for them, because we don't even know the quality of the people we're sending out there. So it needs to change. If this movement can go on like this, like Major said earlier, and can go on to 2023, and we can change the way we vote, the people we vote for, man, Nigeria, in less than 10 years, we will see a lot of things.
I know they want to create their own party. Maybe that will work. Maybe that one, I can't tell. I don't have the crystal ball.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if you get into this correctly addressing structure, go to the ward system. Mr. Constance has been through this electoral thing before with Ondo State. When you go through the ward system, the councillor and everything, it humbles you. When you hear all these women talk about their issues, then you're like, wow. You know, even if you're not mature, you come to that kind of maturity like a crucible. You know, so all these things, there's a process in this kind of thing, and voting someone from Lagos or voting for, it doesn't really matter. You know, you have to go through the system, understand what people are, because you're not only there serving the youth, you're serving Nigerians. So what you think is good for the youth might not be good for the older generation. So you have to figure out a way that what works for all Nigerians. And the youth, for example, they created the wave. We have to figure out a way, I mean, to ride it. I mean, we have to figure out a way to ride it. And that's where we're missing right now. What is it for them? For me, I would tell, you need to figure out a blueprint. What is their end state? They want to change Nigeria for good. Yes, how? What do we need to change in Nigeria? How do we topple the system in such a way that it works for everyone, not only for the rich and leaving the poor out?
Great comments, sir. Let's just, I guess we should just start with use this point to just start putting in our closing comments. I think we've said a lot. Now we know what we want. We know what we are encouraging the youth to fight for. I'll just go ahead and give mine, which is I think we need to be able to find a balance between our culture and democratic values, and also we need a total reform of Nigeria. How it's going to happen is not going to be a microwave thing. It's not going to be something that'll be fast, but we can make it happen by just somewhere. We know all of us have to agree that, okay, we need a change. We need to reform the total system and just find a way to reform everything. That's my own closing remarks, and I think probably Esosa, you've been quiet since. You want to?
I've been processing. No, I think, you know, I'm really thinking about a lot of the cultural aspects of things, and I want our, I guess, older generation to realize that there's no us versus you. We are your kids. You know, some of us are your grandkids. Some of us are having your grandkids. You know, culture is wonderful and all, but I think what is more wonderful is freedom. And as much as it's hard to believe, we are not as sheltered as you guys think. In fact, we are probably even more exposed than a lot of our adults. So I think that should even give us the grounds to be put in leadership positions, because a lot of us do know what's happening in the world. So I think it's up to our adults or our older generation to listen to us when we speak, like actually listen, not because you know you want to shut us up, but because you know that deep down inside that we deserve change and you also deserve change. And I think for the youth, I will say, again, I'm not calling them youth, I'm calling them young adults, because they're not really youth. I think some major aspects surrounding our culture is based on fear. And I think it's fear of our elders, it's fear of what our mommy and daddy is do, what is right. We are now adults. A lot of us are having kids. A lot of us are married. We really need to reevaluate what we really feel is culture, and we need to see what is really stopping us from moving forward. And I think that's keeping that in mind and separating those things will definitely get us to our end goal. So that's what I think.
Perfect. Major Adeleke or Constance, who wants to go?
It's thank you for having me. It's been a privilege, very rich conversation, and quite progressive. Culture always eats strategy for lunch all day long, and that's what I've learned. That's what I've seen over the course of years. And if you want to change people's politics, you have to change their culture. Somebody said it. If I say the name it's not the person to reference, but you know, it's always right twice a day. But actually, it's right. If you actually want to change people's culture, you have to change their culture. And at the same time, culture is continuum. It's not something that is stagnant. It's not something that it has to be refined. Unfortunately, we are still stuck in 1400s culture in our nation. So it's part of this whole thing is as we restructure Nigeria, as we figure out a way to harness this energy that has been provided by the younger generation, we have to put everything in perspective. There is a cultural influence as well. We have to define what kind of Nigeria we want by merging democratic values and the cultural values and define our own new culture. You know, we have kings kings that are Sorosoke now. You know, so we have kings that are Sorosoke now, and things are changing. I mean, how we view things are beginning to change, and this is expected because because of technology and the era that we find ourselves. I believe Nigeria has a brighter future. If you have told me this 5 years ago, I don't believe Nigeria has a future. But this newfound energy shows that there is still hope. I mean, trust me, you cannot project Nigeria 5 years ago and be like anything good come out of it. The first time now you can actually say, you know what, in 10 years from now, if these folks are not compromised and they stay focused, Nigeria has a bright future.
Yeah.
But in every great civilization, people have to come together at some point and figure out the country that they were. For some of us in the US, if you know that American Constitution very well and how they did it, they came together, young, rich, poor, come together like this is the kind of nation we want. And 300 years from now, we are enjoying the kind of nation they want. So the Nigeria that we want for tomorrow, for generation tends to come, we have to come together, young, old, and we define it. Until then,
right?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, Major. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and it's been a wonderful time. And I'm just so happy that I'm witnessing this. You know, a couple of my friends will call me Mr. Nigeria. I mean, anywhere I go, I talk about Nigeria. You know, people will ask me, tell me about your country. And I tell them, you know, I would say we are one of the most educated people in the world. We're good, we are resourceful, and I will give them examples. But we don't have anything to show for it back home. But now, you know, I'm happy. Sometimes I was almost giving up as well. Like, man, I don't know if these people can be helped because the people themselves don't want to be helped. But right now, we've seen that people are really tired and we're coming out. And I pray and hope that we will find a solution from this. And like I said earlier, Nigerian problem is not too much to handle by Nigerians. We just need restructuring. Whatever the fear is from this older generation, let them quench the fear. If every state runs their affairs, we will be good for it. You know, it's still the same Nigeria. The money still goes to the central. The central is still fat. If they are afraid of getting they will get the fatness, and each state can be proud of what they are building themselves. So I believe we're looking to a new Nigeria. We're looking forward to a new Nigeria, and I pray and hope that the youth will not back down until we get something done.
Okay. Diola, closing remarks?
Nothing much from me, just to remind everyone out there that this is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. So just don't give up, keep going.
Okay, so as we close, let me just read a comment. Adetun said, we are a Sorosoke generation, not a microwave. All right, guys. Thank you very much for taking time out to speak with us. We'll be back next weekend to continue as the EndSARS movement evolves. You can go ahead and follow us on all our social media platforms, which is showing on the screen now. On Twitter, it is the Nigerian _space. And Facebook, the Nigerian Space, as well as Instagram. Once again, to all our viewers and those who listen to it as the podcast, thank you very much, and we hope to see you next week.